Alright, so now we've made it to the actual wing ceremony, where our goal is to catch the yellow loftwing as fast as possible. So right now, we want to basically get our loftwing up to the maximum speed that it can possibly get up to as quickly as possible. And the fastest way to do that is actually not to dash right away using like the wings that we have at the bottom here, but is actually to just do a flap right at the beginning as fast as possible, just like this. The basic sort of flying technique that we use for covering distance in this game is we flap up to whatever height is necessary for us to flap up to while keeping the loftwing level or slightly below level. Because we don't want to point the loftwing up, since that's going to end up losing a lot of speed very quickly. We want to keep the loftwing level or just slightly below level, right? And then we basically just want to use all 3 dashes as fast as possible, let them all recharge, and then use them all again and just cycle through that until we get to our destination. So what that means here is that we flap once, and then we're going to be using the 3 dashes to gain forward speed. And then I like to flap again just to get a little bit of extra height, and then wait for the dashes to come back. There's a little bit of RNG as to how much the yellow loftwing is going to turn right here, but it doesn't really matter. Just, stay vigilant as to where it's turning and try to, line up to intercept it in the fastest possible path. So typically, you also only want to wait for 1 or 2 of the charges to refill here, because that's the only amount that you'll be able to use before catching up to the loftwing optimally, just like this. And then mash the A button to grab onto the statue as fast as possible, or to try to grab the statue before Bruce rudely knocks you out of the way here, and obviously go through this text. Since we don't have any dashes right here, we're basically just going to be flapping to gain height a whole bunch. This is where RNG is actually kind of going to come in for the first time in this run, and you could potentially lose a few seconds here just due to the RNG, which we'll explain in just a second. It doesn't really matter if those eggs hit you or not because of the RNG that we're about to explain right here. So, the RNG that I keep talking about is when the yellow loftwing will decide to turn around right here, right? So, at some point, the yellow loftwing is going to turn around and come back to you. And the sooner that the yellow loftwing turns around, the faster that you can get to the yellow loftwing, because now the yellow loftwing is coming towards you, right? But the problem here is that the yellow loftwing is actually flying beyond the bounds of where Link is allowed to fly, right? Because the loftwing tutorial is a bounded area, or excuse me, the wing ceremony is a bounded area of the sky because they don't want you, going off to other places in the sky right now and sequence breaking the game or whatnot. So, for whatever reason, the yellow loftwing just goes past that boundary, and the longer it takes for the yellow loftwing to turn, the more time you're going to lose. So right here, it kind of turned this was okay RNG. It wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst it could possibly be. And just like the last phase of the loftwing, or of the wing ceremony, you want to just, try to go in a straight line to where the yellow loftwing is going to be as fast as possible. You'll notice that we hit the bounds whenever Link's speed just kind of gets killed right there. It's kind of hard to notice with everything that's going on around, but if we go back here a second, you'll notice that there's sort of a distinct way that the screen, or a distinct way that the screen kind of changes its view right there. When you run into it, and then you're just basically waiting up against the boundary for the loftwing to come back to you, and then mash the A button to grab the statuette as fast as possible. And that is the wing ceremony.